Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and it's time for another edition of Jason and the Gentleman. And as always, to do this show with me, I need my co-host, the Gentleman of Mixed Martial Arts, the number 7 ranked Bellator bantamweight, the Gentleman of Mixed Martial Arts, the Gentleman Josh Hill. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
I am doing quite well. Excited as we are starting to get into summer. We had a lot of sunshine this past weekend, so a lot more optimism starting to happen with me with the end of this COVID thing. And the Raptors just got a top 4 NBA pick, so how could I not be in a good mood?
All good thing. Isn't it today the first day of summer, I think?
I believe today, yes, is a summer solstice, so the longest day of the year. And welcome to summer. And in Canada, we have to take advantage of these days.
Yeah, I know, man. You only got 3 months of it, really? Pretty much.
Well, yeah, sometimes technically 2 if you get a crappy like June or July.
Yeah, and like July and August are pretty much guaranteed good, but to get a shitty June or a shitty September, it sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how are you, Josh? How was the getaway and spending some time with the family out on, I guess, the beach and stuff?
It was good, man. It was only, like a small little getaway, but it was a good change of scenery, and the kids liked it. So, yeah, man, it was good. I love anywhere near a beach. I love, man.
You have yourself a good Father's Day, Josh.
Yes. I went golfing with the old man, which was great. And then, doing the stuff here with the kids and the wife. Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. How'd you shoot?
Horrible, bro. This is my second round of the year. It was bad. It was fun, but I did not shoot well at all.
You know what? You'll get better. Yeah, you'll get better as you go, and at least you don't have to worry about golf paying the bills or anything like that.
No,
so
that's it. But if I could go back, I love fighting. So, but like if I could go back and focus on a sport, it would probably be that, man. Like it's a game where I make way more money, be in beautiful scenery, can play it for your whole life, and not have your body take damage and your brain take damage.
Your body would take damage, your brain definitely not so much damage.
Of course your body would, but not to the extent of what we do. You know what I mean? Like
it's one of those sports where I think everyone as they get older wishes they took more time with it.
Yeah.
Like when I was young, like I worked at a golf course and had no interest in playing golf.
Me too.
But now I was like, I kind of wish I took it up and was at least semi good or whatever.
Yeah, I worked at a golf course for 3-4 years, and I played it like a bunch, but I never took it seriously. It was always hockey or any other sports. But yeah, man, I think I might get the daughter, get her cracking the clubs early, maybe make a run at something like that.
Yes, get her set up to potentially make that LPGA tour debut.
Yeah, I had a cousin that was actually he was a great golfer, and then he had like a car accident, and then he screwed up his whole game, but he became a caddy, and he was a caddy for Rory Kane.
Wow.
Yeah.
The legendary Rory Kane.
Yeah. So some golf in the family.
I worked with at the golf course. I went to high school with Garrett Ranks. So he's one of the top Canadian amateurs. He's played like at the US Open at Augusta. He's also like his day job's also a ref in the NHL. So
really?
It worked out quite well for Garrett. He had a lot of the athletic genes where I just rather talk to the athletes about their ventures in sports, because I knew my athletic career was done by the time I was like 11. I was like, it's over for me.
You peaked early, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. I peaked at 4. I was like the Ronaldo of the little, cone soccer leagues and stuff like that. But that was it. But well, Josh, as it was a pretty busy week, I guess, in the realm of MMA. We had ourselves, a PFL show on Thursday, a UFC show this past Saturday, and then this week it's like even crazier with like Bellator and PFL head-to-head on Friday. A very early UFC starting at 1 p.m. For this Saturday, and then obviously they get a bit of a break before the big one, UFC 264. But UFC they had their show this past Saturday, UFC Vegas 29, with Dan Ige in the main event, and No, all in all, I thought the main card was fantastic. And, Korean Zombie, Dan Ige, a big fight at 145, and Zombie looked fantastic.
Yeah, man. He looks probably the sharpest he's ever looked, really. He was, he's aggressive in a while, but he was way more like calculated in this one. And the way he can, he measured his distance, he made Ige miss a lot. And then, punished him when he did. It was just, and then on the ground, he had his back for probably 9 minutes total in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
He just, Ige is good and tough, durable, but Korean Zombie was just on top notch that night, man.
Yeah, Ige's had just some bad luck in the 5-rounders. He had the Calvin Kattar fight last year, and just things didn't go his way. And then yet again here against the Korean Zombie. And I think it's good that Zombie gets the win because he's now, I guess, number 3. That's where he views himself right now in the rankings, and would probably be next in line after this Ortega-Volkanovski fight. But how did you see the fight, Josh? Because this was kind of a weird one where a lot of people I was watching the fight with had it, even going into the 5th round, but the broadcast team seems it was like 4-0 for the Zombie.
Yeah, I did not have it even going in there. I think I had it 3-1 going into the 5th round, and then I had it in total 4-1 for Zombie. I mean, I don't really see it how. I mean, Ige was there and he was tough, but I think the Zombie controlled majority of the fight, man. I
think when you look at that fight, it was like the dominant rounds for sure were for Zombie because he was there doing, most of the control and getting the better of the striking. But like that first round, and I believe it was the 4th round, were really close. Ige had maybe his best moments in those rounds. And I think that was why I was able to give Ige rounds 1 and 4 to make it 2-2 going into the 5th. But I mean, it just goes to show just how hard this sport or how objective this sport is, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was throwing a lot of shots and which looks great. But like Zombie was just kind of rolling with and blocking the majority of them. But we don't know what they're looking at. Is it just abundance of strikes? Is it actual strikes that are landing? Did you get points for having good defense? Nobody really knows, right? So that's why these scorecards are all over the place. And there's also a lot of people that shouldn't be judging in there at all doing it. But it's so subjective and it changes from commission to commission, person to person. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know indeed. But I think everyone would agree that it was a Zombie fight, whether we had it 2-2 going into the 5th or, 4-1, 3-1 for the Korean Zombie. And he gets the win and gets himself definitely probably next in line, as we said, with Volkanovski and Brian Ortega getting lined up. And, they're right now coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Have you seen any of The Ultimate Fighter, Josh?
I haven't yet. No, I haven't. There's the episode tonight, actually, because a buddy of mine's fighting, so I do want to check that. I think it's on right now, right?
Yeah, it is on right now. But the way if you have Fight Pass, it'll be up there fresh for you to watch as soon as we get done.
I do not have Fight Pass, but I'll find it.
I'm sure you
somewhere. I haven't watched it, but like I said, I'll tune in for the guys that I want to see fight, and Vinny's one of them. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think we're all excited to see Vince Murdoch fight, considering his story where he was like literally signed to the UFC and then had that brain scan and showed that he had this disease with his brain and lost his contract. But second bantamweight fight. But this is a show that they're normally, as well as they're building up, the middleweights and bantamweights, for example, this season, they're supposed to kind of build up the fight, the coaches, because they're supposed to have a fight, and there hasn't been much of that. You haven't seen it, obviously, but I'm kind of surprised in the lack of trying to build up some sort of animosity. I know we're now in 4 episodes where maybe they'll get that ball rolling, but it's been a lot of features on the contestants on the show, which I guess is good. But all in all, you kind of want to heat that up because they're trying to sell a pay-per-view.
Yeah, when is their fight? Is it on the same card as McGregor one, or is it after that? It's after that, right?
No, it'll be after that for sure. Yeah,
it's later, right?
Yeah. I believe they have a date for that because that was supposed to be in April before Volkanovski got COVID. So that is set for September. So UFC 266.
So yeah, it's a while away. Yeah, I mean, there's still a long time, man. I'm sure they'll start kind of injecting that build up later on in the season, right? Because they'll edit it nicely, and I'm sure right now it's so far away it doesn't really, they'll build it up. They will.
They have to, because I'm excited to see how they've built up the prospects on the show and the contestants. Showing some of their regional fights on there, which is nice. It's a nice bump for not only the fighter but the regional promotion as a whole. And so why you want to find these prospects and get them on your show and stuff like that. So there's been some things I've liked graphic wise and production wise, but all in all, it's really been the same show and really gives you no major reason to tune in, unless I guess in your case, like, said fighter on the show.
I mean, what else can you do differently, that you already haven't done? I mean, it's 29. So
next season would be season 30. So they're probably gonna have to do something special, like maybe another comeback season or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that's all you could do. But it's still going to be more of the same, just with people that we already know, right? But yeah, I mean, they're going to live in a house, they're going to train together, they're going to be teams, and they're going to fight, and that's it, really. What else can you do? I guess you can only spice it up so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they'd have found a way to make it a little more interesting or something. I don't know. It just felt like much of the same, and the fights have been okay so far. It'll be interesting to see how this second middleweight fight with Vince Murdoch.
I think this would be a good.
Or bantamweight.
I think it's a good fight tonight. I seen another Reddinghouse, Josh, another guy on the show. He was talking about the fight, saying how this one's a good one. So yeah, I mean, it should be good.
Yeah, that's the weight class I really want to see, is the bantamweights, really. I mean, there are some good middleweight prospects out there who I was unfortunate to see some of them fight guys I thought they'd fight later on in the show, but that's the way the cookie crumbles with how it works out, with how the layup of the show is. But yeah, I'm excited to see Vince Murdoch's fight tonight. But moving on to the PFL, Josh, pretty decent card, I guess, last week. Actually, staying with the UFC, we kind of bounced around here from last week, Josh. Like, that undercard was a little, whatever there, but things got going. Like, Matt Brown still able to bring the violence at his age. A guy that's 40 years old with one of the most devastating knockouts against a durable guy in Diego Lima, and the first man to beat both Lima brothers.
He beat Douglas Lima too?
Like, back on the regional scene before.
Really?
That was even on the Ultimate Fighter, and Douglas was even before there was even a Bellator.
Really? Wow, crazy. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm a fan of the Limas too, so it wasn't like I was rooting against him, but I'm a fan of Brown, and yeah, I mean, he's 40 years old, but I mean, if anything is going to start to go, it's not your power. You know what I mean? That's like the last, right? I always say. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he can still have that devastating knockout power for sure. And I mean, good for him, man. I like seeing the old guy still doing well.
Yeah, I wanted to, he had that tough loss against Condit. That was the fight that I thought was perfect for both guys. I don't know who else Matt Brown can fight, but I want to see him fight those Condit type guys and stuff.
Has he fought Robbie Lawler yet?
Yeah, they fought. I think back in 2014, I believe.
Yeah, okay. That was another name that I thought would be.
Why not run that back?
Yeah, that would be cool. Or maybe I mean, he's at 70. I'm gonna say like a Diaz would be kind of cool. Why not? Brown Diaz or Nick for a comeback fight.
I mean, that'd be, I guess, definitely out of left field, because normally the Matt Brown types wouldn't get a fight like that. But hey, you know what? Matt Brown's been around since Tough 7 back in 2007. So still, why not give him an opportunity like that? It was just nice to see him get a huge win like that. And he's the only man that can say, I've beat both Lima brothers.
Yeah, I mean, it's an accomplishment, that's for sure.
That definitely is an accomplishment. And then we had a devastating KO from Bruno Silva. Sung Woo Choi absolutely beat up Juliana Erosa. And then Marlon Vera, Davey Grant. It was a sneaky good fight on that card.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that one for Davey. I knew it was going to be a tough fight for him, but yeah, man, he showed, he's tough and durable. And that was a good fight, really good fight.
Yeah, definitely was a solid fight. Then moving on, I guess, to this past Thursday, where we had the PFL as they've got things set for their light heavyweights and their welterweights. And then, I mean, the biggest story coming out of PFL 5 this past Thursday is the main event, which was Gleison Tibau, Rory MacDonald.
No, I didn't see the fight. I didn't see it.
Okay,
I was up at the cottage still, and I just read all of the shit. So, what do you think?
Okay, well, first of all, I can see why people would say Rory won the fight. And upon looking at the judges' scorecards, one of the rounds that two of the judges gave to Tibau was the first round, which was clearly of anyone having the best round out of the 3 rounds. It was Rory in round 1. Like, he was active, pushing the pace, having just really outclassing Tibau, making Tibau look kind of older. But I actually scored the fight for Tibau. I gave Tibau rounds 2 and 3. I thought round 2 was Tibau's best round, as he was able to, he was getting maybe picked apart a little bit on the outside. But he was able to land some strikes of his own, while Rory kind of coasted a little bit towards the end of the round, and Tibau picked up speed and momentum, and kind of that carried over into the third. But when you see the judges' scorecards being rounds 1 and 3 for Tibau, I didn't agree with that, because I thought round 1 for sure, if anyone was watching the fight, was for sure a Rory MacDonald round.
Really? So, I mean, yeah. So what are you basing it on, right? But I'm gonna have to go back and actually watch it, just because I've seen so many people talking about it, how it was a robbery, blah blah blah. I mean, there's been so many fights where I've seen it was actually pretty close, and it went the other way, and people are like, "Oh my God, robbery!" And I'm like, "No," and I've seen some where it was like, "Oh my God, how could you actually call that?" So I was assuming it was like that, but it sounds like it was closer than, from what you're saying, it was closer than most people are making out to be.
I am the only one that has probably been on Tibau's side, though.
Watching, bro? What are you judging here?
Man, I just honestly thought that Tibau did enough in the second, and then the third was as well another great round for Tibau. I mean, and Rory's upset about it, but at least he's not taken out of the playoffs by such a bad decision. Yeah. And he wants this looked into by, I guess, by the PFL or the New Jersey Athletic Commission, because they did look at that weird Verdum tap situation and made that a no contest or whatever. So he wants that looked at. I don't know if it's even worth reversing. It's like, you're not going to see Tibau anymore. He didn't even make the playoffs. Rory, you're now the second seed. I mean, maybe it affects you, but you're now fighting the guy everyone wanted you to fight in Ray Cooper.
Well, that's probably a tougher fight, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been first seed, right? If he had won?
Yeah. If he had won, he would have got the first seed.
So he would have changed his route to the championship, probably been an easier route, which definitely affects, I would be pissed too, right? Because, you want your toughest fight for last, that's for sure, in a system like that.
Understandable, but I think this happening to Rory makes Rory that much more of a favorite. Like, now he's got a chip on his shoulder to prove he should have been the number 1 seed. And a motivated Rory MacDonald is the best Rory MacDonald.
Hopefully, he can use that, right, and turn it into that, and not just fight with just anger, but controlled aggression anyway. But I mean, Rory's awesome. You know what? He's been around forever and one of the top guys. So it sucks to see him, if he actually thinks that he won for sure. I feel him. I feel like he just got robbed, right? And not only that, man, like, it's your money that you just got taken away too, right? Like, half your paycheck, which is, again, why I don't agree with this bullshit and how they do the show and win. But yeah, he just lost a lot of money because of judging he felt was incompetent.
Yeah, it was definitely probably going to be talked about as the most decision so far, unless we get anything worse going this year. And if you've seen some of the judging this year, it's not out of the realm from happening this year with some of these scorecards that have been.
Is that Atlantic City again?
Yes, and so after this show on Friday, they moved to Florida, which is known for being an interesting commission in its own right, but a change of scenery and there's fans there, which always can kind of affect the judging a bit too. So
yeah, for sure,
that's going to be interesting scenario. I mean, anything else that really happened on the PFL? We had 2 no contests. One ended in a groin strike, and the other one was actually a draw. Sorry, it was Emiliano Sordi. Tom Lawler retired, called himself a career. So, I mean, Tom's got himself many opportunities in pro wrestling. So, if he still wants to put the body on the line, go, with some of his big pro wrestling deals than when he wanted to do it in mixed martial arts. But we now move, I guess, to Friday, Josh, where PFL 6 has the heavyweights and the women's lightweights, but as well, we have a Bellator card the same day, same time. I don't think this is the best thing if you're both Bellator or the PFL to be going head to head with each other. Like, you're kind of trying to scrap at the same fan base that doesn't watch the UFC, and you're now competing for each other on the same night. Like, I think PFL had a sweet deal with these Thursdays, and I think they'll still be Thursday. But this Friday, going up to head, I think you're kind of hurting and splitting the audience in half.
Yeah, probably. You would probably. I think they should stick to Thursdays because it's like kind of their little spot, on the table there that they're doing well with. The only, I think, benefit as far as this card for them is they're able to move a couple of the bigger names onto this card, like with Pettis and Lance. And who else? Is Harrison on this one? Is that right?
Yes. So Kayla Harrison, I believe, is the main event for this card.
Yeah, so there's 3 bigger names or 2 that wouldn't have been on it anyway. So yeah, that will definitely help them if they're gonna, try and steal some views against Bellator. But I prefer if they stay Thursdays and Bellator have Fridays and UFC took Saturdays, right? So then it's better for the fans anyway.
Definitely better for the fans. And I just don't think you want to be competing with the same set of fans and you're kind of splitting them and either having to pick or bouncing around, which doesn't make anyone, win. Though I think if you're going to look at each card between PFL 6 and Bellator 261, I do tend to lean to that PFL card, especially with their last 3 fights where we get to see what Lance Palmer can do coming off a loss for the first time in the PFL. Anthony Pettis, same thing. He's losing his debut and still having a chance at making the lightweight playoffs. And then, Kayla Harrison. Like, a lot of people are already talking about this fight with Cindy Dubois being like a mugging and a murdering going up against her. So,
that's going to be bad, in my opinion. I mean, who knows if Cindy can pull off some upset, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, Cindy is known for her grappling, and I just don't see how she can get the bigger Harrison down. And Kayla's striking's developed pretty nicely too, where if you saw Cindy's last fight, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, man. This is not good. I just don't see it how she's going to win anywhere.
No, neither do I. But I mean, the Pettis fight, though.
Who's he fighting again?
He is fighting now Hush Manafio, who was supposed to fight Natan Schultz, which would have been interesting because I think they're brother-in-laws and like best friends. But thankfully, this Pettis gets ill, so they don't have to have them fight. And Manafio can now fight Pettis. So maybe an easier matchup for Pettis too. Not to discredit Manafio, but it's less of a gamble than the Clay Collard fight was. Yeah.
And well, even the Clay Collard fight, I think a lot of people assumed Pettis would beat him up too. You know what I mean? I think they kind of wrote him off, and then he kind of shocked everybody with his game. So I don't know anything about this other guy, so we'll see what he brings to the table. But Pettis are good, man. You know what I mean?
Pettis is definitely solid, but I mean, the Lance Palmer fight against Mulvid Kabulbiev, that's a real tough fight for Lance if he wants to. Pretty much needs 6 points.
Too. Yeah, he needs to finish right
in the first round too.
I think it was the first. I thought he just needed to finish in general. No, maybe I'm wrong.
Got to look at the brackets right now. I thought
he needed 4 points.
Well, no, he lost, so he has. Well,
0.
maybe he. So he's 0. But yeah, if he gets a finish in the. Yeah, a finish in the third would give him 4.
Give him 4. I think that's enough to get him in there. I think, but maybe I'm wrong.
I need to look at the lightweight featherweight bracket right now. But yeah, that kind of it's no. If he gets 4 points, he would still be out. Shimon Moraes would get the last spot because he had a second round finish, so he got 5 points.
Okay.
So Lance needs a finish in the first or second round.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, we'll see what Lance can do. I'm pulling for him, but yeah, it's a tough one.
I mean, and as well, like Kabulaev, though, he he pretty much doesn't have the pressure on him of a finish. Like, he can grind out a decision, find a way. He'll get the 3 points, and he would leapfrog Moraes. So Moraes is in the worst spot here, where if one guy wins by any just going the distance or finish, you're out. And if Palmer wins within finish in the first or second, you're out. So he's got like one-way path to get in, and he needs Lance Palmer to grind out a decision.
Yeah, that's that could happen. Lance, is very possible. Both very good, and maybe we'll see that. But Lance he knows he's down. He's got to go for the kill here. He needs something to happen. So, I'm sure he's not gonna try to leave it, like that.
Yeah,
go for the finish. All fighters always. I shouldn't say always, but like you're always trying to finish the fight if you can, right? But especially when the ante's like this, where you actually need it to progress. So I'm sure he will.
But I think that's what makes this fight so interesting, because Lance in the PFL has never had to be in this situation where he needed to finish. He needed to push the pace. He just uses wrestling, hold you down, grind you out, and pick up 3 points, and then eventually $1 million. Yeah. So now he's got to really kind of change his style a little bit, where he can use his wrestling and maybe hope for some ground and pound or submission opportunity if it's there. But like, you can't just wrestle someone right now.
No, yeah. So Lance is going to have to open up, and which leaves himself at risk, right? But it's at a point where you kind of have to. There's no kind of just eking out a win here, or just kind of utilizing one asset to grind out a win. Because I've been underneath Lance when we're wrestling. He's strong as shit. You know what I mean? But just putting somebody down and kind of ground and pound them and controlling that fight for 3 rounds isn't going to do it. So we'll see if he opens up and just goes for the kill.
The one thing that sucks about the bubble atmosphere for the PFL is Lance's dad isn't there. I miss the shots of his dad. I miss his dad cheering him on. And I wonder if Lance kind of misses hearing that voice out there too.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. And just not even just for that, but like just for before and afterwards, having your support system there and your family and friends. So of course, 100%.
So that's got to motivate Lance too, because if you get the win and advance to the playoffs, you can have your dad there in the support system in Florida at the Seminole Hard Rock. So all in all, a lot of storylines at least for the PFL card, which I think you may want to pick that one over Bellator. No offense to Bellator. They have, some interesting fights, an interim heavyweight title fight on that card.
Yeah. With Johnson and Moldovsky. Yeah. I remember I fought on actually both those guys, I believe. Yeah. My first Bellator fight. So I got to see them afterwards, and they're huge men. But yeah, it sucks that it's not suck. It's an interim belt. Bader's still wrapped up in the light heavyweight. So it kind of puts a standstill at that division.
It'd be a real cool story for someone like Tim Johnson to be an interim heavyweight champion. Like, Tim Johnson is, a happy-go-lucky guy, bounced around, was in the UFC, won some, lost some, but he's really put it together his last 3 outings in Bellator.
He started Bellator shit. He lost his first 2. I think he got knocked out by Congo. And there was another one too.
And then Vitaly Minikov.
That was it. Minikov, that was one thing. And then, but yeah, since then he's done well. He's been on a little bit of a streak here, so good for him.
And won the rematch, a split decision against Czech Congo, which is now his 3rd win in a row. And couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I had someone from his hometown telling me, it's like, I remember when Tim was a bouncer at a nightclub, nice guy, but would definitely handle some drunks around. And that's what he's going to try to have to do against, one of the many dangerous Russian heavyweights, light heavyweights, Russian MMA fighters that Bellator has there in Valentin Moldovsky, who, you want to talk about a guy on a run as well, like a 5-6 fight win streak.
Is that what he's on?
Yeah. So,
dude, the Russians are just, and in
Bellator too, like they just,
especially Bellator, but even UFC and PFL has a whole bunch of them too. And then but they're just they're invading, they're taking over.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's an interesting fight. I think a lot of people would be picking Moldovsky, but I think it'd be a great story if Tim Johnson was able to get the win and then get his fight with Bader and when they try to unify him. But I think a lot of people are looking at Moldavsky. The other, I guess, interesting fight on that card, Josh, Liz Carmouche and Kana Watanabe.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Yeah, she's won two? She's only had 2 Bellator fights or 3? I can't remember.
I think it's 2. Yeah,
2. Yeah. I mean, she's always just tough and durable and hard to put away. I don't know a whole lot about Watanabe. I think I've only seen her fight once, but looked pretty good.
Well, she is one of the fighters that's come over from Japan and the Rizin organization. She's 10-0-1. Had a pretty good fight in her debut for Bellator on the stateside against Alejandra Lara in there, but like she's got quite a personality. Like she's known to crush frying pans. Like she can roll a frying pan in half. So you don't see that from one of these lighter weight women. And I think it's just good to see her getting some opportunities and trying to maybe get a name under her belt here against Liz Carmouche and showing the working agreement here that Bellator and Rizin have. Though, I mean, there's all these rumors now that Rizin wants to work with UFC. Like that'd be a huge loss for Bellator, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see UFC doing it.
I don't see them doing it either. But just like they had a meeting with Dana White a while ago, and I don't know. It seems like they want to work together, but I just don't see it happening because UFC doesn't work with anyone. Bellator is willing to work with Rizin and maybe even some other promotions.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I like I love what Bellator does with them, like especially like the going there and the New Year's Eve shows in Japan and stuff like that, and having the back-to-backs. And so I hope they continue that. That would be great. But yeah, I don't see UFC working with them.
I don't either. I mean, if they were ever going to work with anyone, it would have been M1 when they had Fedor and they were trying to make that Brock Lesnar fight. But they're just not in the business to work with anyone unless they had to, or if they went to Japan maybe to get a lot more press out there and stuff like that for the UFC. Because I mean, obviously, there's not many top level Japanese fighters in the UFC. And
when's the UFC the last time I've been to Japan?
Man, I want to say UFC 144, but I know that's wrong. I think they've gone a couple other times to Japan.
So it's been a long time.
I want to say 2014, 15.
Okay. I'm just wondering how. Yeah, it's been I'm surprised they haven't been there more often. I guess I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of politics behind the scenes that are maybe not allowing them to do that. I don't know.
I just think MMA in Japan had a huge downfall, and they were trying to bring themselves back up. There's been a couple iterations, like after Pride, then there was Dream, but that didn't really work out. So Rizin has lived up to their namesake and risen from the ashes, and they seem to be doing quite well. They've got themselves a couple shows. They had a show 2 weeks ago at the Tokyo Dome, so the first MMA show back at the Tokyo Dome, and they have a show this Saturday. So the second part of their Bantamweight Grand Prix will wrap up by the end of it. So getting closer to the, I guess, the finals of that, which will be, I guess, New Year's Eve. But they also have a one-night kickboxing tournament on there. So if you're a kickboxing fan and the one-night tournament deals, Rizin 29 this Saturday has your love for that as well.
Old school pride.
Yeah, old school pride. But I guess, if you want to stick to Bellator a bit, Josh, as we kind of, hummed and hawed at this Bellator 261 card, but I believe it's Bellator 263, July 31st. They finally announced it. McKee versus Pitbull, Featherweight Grand Prix final, at Inglewood, California, the Forum. This is the biggest fight. I mean, we've talked about this before. This is the biggest fight Bellator could make, and maybe has made since in the Coker era.
Yeah, probably. I mean, as far as not just using people for namesakes, you know what I mean? Like a ex-UFC or, like a Gracie or Shamrock or a Tito, one of those. But yeah, homegrown, actual legit, some of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. This is probably the biggest fight they've put on, I think, for sure. It's an incredible fight too. McKee is 18-0?
Yeah, something like that.
All fights in Bellator, which is crazy. Literally from day one has been in the promotion. And then Pitbull, who's been there since, I got to say 2007 or something like that. Because I remember Will Romero was my teammate, and he signed with Bellator. He was 5-0. This is when Bellator was brand new. and his first fight was against Pitbull. Nobody knew who he was at that time. But yeah, so that two guys that are just have done so well there and are amongst, I think probably if not the top two, then they're, I think, then the top five for sure, best featherweights in the world. And yeah, that'd be a good one, man.
For me, it's like probably of any fight that's been announced this year, it's like one or two for the most anticipated that I have been for this promotion, not only just because of what you just went through. Like, these are two homegrown Bellator guys that you're trying to now build this next generation for your promotion with on. And it's just a badass fight. It's like, it's two guys that you wanted to see get to the end of the tournament. And there's always risks in that, like things can happen. But Pitbull's crushed his way on his side of the bracket. McKee's crushed his way through the side of the bracket. It's only fitting that they meet up for not only the title, but the $1 million as well. So, I mean, this is the dream, and it's happening, outside of Mohegan Sun too, which I think is nice, at a building that's been very important for Bellator in the Forum, former home of the Lakers. So great build, great fight. I just can't get enough of this fight. Like, and the packages that they've already put out for it, like they're treating this as it should be. Great video packages, marketing it as you should. These are really the faces of your company right now.
Yeah, and that was something I always thought Bellator lacked for a long time, was their marketing and their the way they push fights and stuff like that. But with Showtime, it has gotten better. So that's good. They're heading in the right direction. They should be pumping the hell out of this, because it's one of the biggest fights they'll ever put on. And it's nice that they'll actually do it in front of fans. Yeah. And have like the finale, the winning $1 million, that would it wouldn't be as good at the Mohegan Sun with nobody there. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think anything right now, but it's like would be as good. And I know Bellator, they have one more card at Mohegan Sun after this Friday. That's Bellator 262, where their women's strawweight championships on the line. But after that, like, touring's open, and it seems like a lot of these promotions are really starting to look at touring, and they don't need these bubble situations anymore. It's back to
that's exciting.
It's exciting. It's exciting. It's got to be exciting for you. It's got to be exciting for the promoters to look at other venues, and it's exciting for the fans because you can buy tickets to these things again now. Like, you can go, you can enjoy live mixed martial arts or from whatever brand you may like or is in your area. Like, I think that's the exciting part, is that that's the joy of all the sacrifices we had to make with quarantines and stay-at-home orders is this life. It's back to normal nearly.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. I look forward to that. And it's crazy. It doesn't feel like, you don't feel like it here because we're living in the gutter still here in Ontario. You know what I mean? So we don't have that freedom like all those places. But yeah, you're right. It's awesome for Bellator, and I can't wait to, not fight at the Mohegan Sun. Nothing wrong with Mohegan Sun, but like, I want to change the scenery and some fans there. Make it feel real again. And normal like how it used to be.
Definitely got to negotiate that in your next fight. I'll fight anyone, just not Mohegan Sun. I just want to be somewhere else. I know you guys go plenty different places. Not there or Thackersville. Been there, done that. Let me see the rest of the good old US of A.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that would be ideal. We'll see. I don't get a say on dates or places or anything like that, right? So we just kind of luck of the draw.
I guess if you can hold out long enough, Josh, and Bellator does their annual Hawaii cards, you can hold out for that Hawaii card.
Yeah, man, that would be the, like I said, that would number one. I'd probably that or Japan would probably be one of those two for sure.
Yeah, well, Japan I think is definitely the cards for 2022.
Yeah,
if keep getting some wins, if they do this Bellator Grand Prix at your bantamweight division, so keep that in mind. I think that's going to be the big play going into 2022 for Bellator, is this bantamweight Grand Prix. The featherweight ones work so great, the light heavyweight ones work so great, and why not 135? Why not you guys?
They should, man. They got enough killers in that division, so easily done.
Well, as we are approaching the end of our show, Josh, I wouldn't be remiss about talking about Anderson Silva, who returned to combat sports, but this time he finally got to box and he boxed, the son of a legend, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and he looked fantastic. Like literally,
I didn't see the fight, so I just watched like some of the highlights and the bits of it.
Josh, he looked so good. He looked in a way like Anderson Silva on that middleweight title run of dominance. Also didn't hurt that he got an extra $100,000 because his opponent missed weight by 2 pounds. And also you get to see the benefit of missing weight in boxing versus MMA, where you get 20%. It's maybe a couple $100,000. MMA, it's like 100,000, or boxing, it's $100,000. So.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it actually has consequences.
Exactly. But yeah, Silva looked fantastic. Like pretty much I had him winning basically it was 8 rounds. I basically had him winning 6 of the 8 rounds. Now, of course, you were going to get some of those judges because it was in Mexico that scored the fight for Chavez Jr., which, I mean, you aren't really surprised by that. But the judges got it right. And now Anderson Silva is going to open himself up to a boatload of money boxing, some YouTuber or someone else. But great for Anderson. And finally, an MMA guy got a win in this scenario.
Yeah. It was nice after the whole Askren debacle, right? Actually, I mean, you took somebody that's well past their prime for sure, as 46 or whatever he is, but still his strong suit was striking, right? So at least he had that going into it. And yeah, good for him, man. That's awesome. It's pretty, I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about, but overall, it is pretty sad though that the guys are doing this after their careers or at the end of their careers to go and actually make the most money that they've had, per fight ever. Which it just, with the UFC being how big it is, it's crazy. I mean, good for them for doing it. I'm happy for them. Go get the money. But yeah, it's just I wish it didn't have to. I wish the guys would only do that because they wanted to, rather than a lot of them because they have to.
I think for Silva, I think it was kind of that. Like he wanted to do this.
I'm sure he did, yeah. But yeah, like it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be one of his biggest paydays. You know what I mean? I don't know what he got. How much did he get anyway?
I don't know his purse, honestly, but I mean,
well, if that guy gave up, was it
$100,000?
Was it 20% then?
I think so, yeah.
So he got $500K.
Yeah.
So $500K, man. I mean, there's only the champs in the UFC are making that. Some of them not even.
Well, and now you've won. You've beat a legitimate boxer, former champion in boxing. Like now the floodgates are open for people to see you box again. And watching that, I was kind of like, it's really sad we never got to see like the Roy Jones Jr. fight like 10 years ago when, it sounded silly at the time, but like Silva's footwork, his hand speed against a much older Roy Jones Jr. and even an older one now if they were to do that fight. But kind of sad we didn't get to see that. And a lot of now Anderson's career, I look back and it's kind of sad we didn't get to see like the super fight with GSP. Like MMA is at that point now where I never thought it would get 10 years ago because they didn't seem like they want to do these, double champ things. But now that was like the trend of MMA. You had to be a double champ to be a superstar.
Yeah, that's the new thing of the last 5 years or whatever it's been. But I think with Anderson, you'll probably see. I could see them doing the Roy Jones fight. Even though, what's Roy, 55?
Yeah, he's up there.
I mean, and he did look, he looked older when he's fought Mike. But Anderson's 46. I mean, that would still be a draw and still people watch it, and it's not an overly it's not a mismatch, you know what I mean? But I could definitely see them doing like Logan Paul, Anderson Silva, just because the namesake, and he's the same size, like they're bigger guys, around the same size anyway. And I think that would be one people actually like you'll get the YouTuber fan base like you're always hoping for, but you'll also get the MMA fan base and a boxing fan base. So I think you can pull from all 3 categories there.
I think for sure if any of the Pauls would fight Anderson, it would be Logan. I mean, you just fought Floyd. Like, may as well just fight Anderson Silva. Like, anyone now isn't going to be as surprising. But it was kind of funny that Jake Paul congratulated Anderson on Twitter, but was like, now you can fight Roy Jones. Like, he's not even throwing himself in the mix because he knows it would be a very bad night for him if he were able to get in there with some of the skill set that Anderson Silva has. And he does have to worry about Tyron Woodley coming up, who also has a solid skill set in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think it really matters. It's just the guys just are making boatloads of money while they can, right? And capitalize on it while they can, because it's not always going to be there.
Well, I think the way Anderson and even GSP put it, it's like MMA is hard. Like if I were to come back, MMA at my age is really hard. It was hard then. It's harder now. Like boxing is hard. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have to worry about taking a kick in the leg, getting slammed, getting choked out, getting my arm or leg broken. Like I just got to worry about these
hands, man. Yeah, hands, conditioning. Obviously, there's a lot into it. I know this boxing is incredibly hard, but yeah, absolutely, man. Wrestling practices are horrible. Like they're the hardest. Jiu-jitsu, and then you got your conditioning, and then yeah, like you said, there's like taking kicks and sparring, and it's just so many easy ways to get injured. You know what I mean? Or not even just injured, just sore like badly during camps, right? So yeah, as far as boxing, it's one component rather than 10, and just more easily to focus on one thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're at that age. You don't need the punishment or anything like that. So go out there and use your name and draw that money. And I think that's what everyone wants to see. Those people, especially the people in MMA, make that money and stuff like that, which is the one thing I think all of the MMA community agrees with Jake Paul with, where he's trying to get some of these ex-UFC guys now. They're a big payday because they're former champions in Tyron Woodley's case, and they're about to make their biggest payday against a YouTuber.
Right? I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
I think I wonder if we do see a change in. I don't think they will, but I mean, something's got to force UFC to do that. Even though it's like Dana's right, or Triller / Jake Paul are doing something right, because every time Dana's asked about them, they're idiots or whatever. So they've touched a nerve by exposing his poor pay, or the sport's poor pay, really.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you talk about pay, it's always becomes more, offensive, right? Coming, back. So, because it sucks overall. I mean, you know what I mean? At a company that it would be different if they weren't making the money they're making, right? If they were a much smaller scale promotion, and it was, they didn't have what they have, then yeah, of course you can't keep asking for something that's not there. But the money is there, and it is coming in, it is being generated, and it's being generated not just from the fights, but other things, merchandise and whatnot. And a lot of the fighters don't get cuts of that. I mean, they get their Venom deals, right, which is pretty piss poor overall, and that Reebok one. So they should be getting a lot more money. If you want to do revenue sharing, I think they're at 18%. I think the last I heard was, whereas look at any of the big promotions, 48 to 50% in that range. So it needs to be upped.
It's also tough too, because Endeavor, who owns the UFC, so they've gone public on the New York Stock Exchange. So all their information is like out there. And when you find out that Endeavor's biggest revenue generator really has been the UFC. And they've been out there pumping in a lot of money, while Endeavor and a lot of their other businesses really couldn't get the cash flow that they wanted because of the pandemic. But UFC was still able to run, and you see stuff like that as a fighter, especially on the roster. You'd be like, how come I can't even get like 5% of that?
Yeah, like it's just, I don't know. I understand that or they should just do it like in like boxing, where you're not signed with them for a long period of time. You know what I mean? So you could go fight with them, and then you can go fight anywhere else. And if they want you back, whoever pays the most pulls you there, instead of, I mean, I get it. They lock you in because they don't want you win and win their belt, and then you're gone. I get that. But make it worth their while, like in boxing, you know what I mean? Like it just, it sucks to see that when you have boxers making millions, and then the top boxers making millions, and then the top MMA fighters are making, 300,000,
It's kind of interesting. I saw today, I can't remember the name of the promotion, but they are pretty much paying their fighters in a way where, like, any pay-per-view stream or whatever, like each fighter has like a QR code, and then they're getting a form of the revenue or something like that. I believe that's what I saw, but it's like, that's like the new form of paying fighters, or even like a stake in the stock of a promotion, or like Jorge Masvidal in his game bred bare knuckle MMA. They were giving them like cryptocurrency, like something that in a way can be, I guess, good for the long haul, but better than what some of these other promotions, even the top of the promotions, are doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, and we'll see if that does pay off. Hopefully, but yeah, and as far as pay, the show and win's got to go. You know, that's, I think, for me anyway, that one's like the one that it's bullshit. You know what I mean? It doesn't entice people to go out there and try harder. All it does is make them worry more about securing their win bonus. So yeah, if I'm going to go do a job, I want to know exactly how much I'm going to get paid, not maybe if I get robbed by a decision or I get cut and I lose the fight. You know what I mean? So that's the number one for me.
That just seems so weird. Like, here's a show, here's a win. Like, it's kind of like just dangling the money out there. Like, if you're hungry and there's just all this food out there, and you're just dangling in front of someone, right? 100%. It's just, it seems a little weird. And I think we're past the point of that in the sport. Like, there should be just a flat rate. You make X amount of dollars, and, you know, win, lose, or draw, you get that.
Boxing, you get a flat purse, you know what I mean? Guaranteed. So at least you know, okay, I'm starting my training camp. You know, in 8 weeks' time, I'm going to have this much money, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, as we have like less than 10 minutes left, Josh, I guess we should, you know, plug BTC 11 Edmonton.
Yeah, and fans.
And I mean, by the time we're there, Alberta will be open. No COVID restrictions, nothing.
Oh, doing that, you know, the first province to live life again. And
by July 1st, there will be no COVID restrictions in Alberta, and I believe Saskatchewan too. That's
right. Yeah. You know, take note. You freaking what's his name? Doug Ford. Ford. You know, yeah, I'm excited for that, man. Just to be there and actually have that feeling of normalcy. Yeah, fans around, and you know, having the crowd, the noise, and just the reaction. Yeah, so that's awesome. BTC going there, and yeah, I like what they're doing, man. BC this past month here, and then now next month they're going to Alberta. So yeah, it's cool.
I like it too, because I mean, they're working with other promotions. You're getting to know other people. You can maybe, you know, swap talent once all of Canada is opened up by next year and like that. But I mean, they're going to such a great fight city, right? Like, Edmonton's had many cards, whether it's UFC, the old World Series of Fighting Canada cards, I know you fought out there in Edmonton, Josh. So it's a great sports city, and it's a great fight city.
It is, man. It's a very good fight city. There's a lot of it's kind of like I don't know, I want to say like Hamilton, but it's like it's got that kind of like that ruggedness to it. You know what I mean? And like they do like their fights there. Yeah, it's fun, dude. Every time I've been there, it's been good times.
I'm excited to go there in August. The last time I was in Edmonton was February, and that was a huge mistake to go to Edmonton in February. That cold is a different kind of cold.
I fought there in February one time. I remember that, and yeah, it was a nightmare. But I remember they were building like connections from building to building around the main part of the city, so actually you don't have to walk outside during it. I don't know if that's been completed or if it's a thing, but I remember they were talking about that.
That's the most genius idea they've ever had in the history of Edmonton, because outside for 5 minutes was enough for me to tap out. So anyone that lives in Edmonton, you have all my respect. That part of Canada, that Western Canadian lifestyle with their winters, it's unbelievable. But I'm excited to get out there. And plus, River Cree Casino, I believe, is the where they're going to be doing the show. So that's also a place that's held many great cards.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've never
fought
there. I fought a bunch of other places in Edmonton, but never been there. So that's cool. I'm glad to get a new place to check out. We haven't had any fights announced yet, but
they're working on that, and I can't wait to see what they have put out.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, like we talked about that last show, it was a great show to build a lot of future talent, and so we can kind of snowball on that and continue it and continue to build the future stars. And now we've kind of seen a lot of them, right? So we kind of know a little bit more. So it'll just get better and better.
Exactly. Well, the future champions of MMA will be competing for BTC in the City of Champions on August 15th, 2021. So
Sunday.
Yeah, a Sunday card. You got to like that. a Sunday card. I don't mind Sunday. It'd be the first one they do.
It's different, you know. They're working with Unified, and they're having their show Saturday. So they're kind of doing the same thing with what they did with PFL. So yeah, Sunday. It's. I mean, why not, right?
There's I mean, if you don't have Fight Pass, but Fury FC, which is the promotion out of Texas, and they do a lot of those shows in that part of the southern United States. They do their shows Sunday, and I think that's kind of cool as well. Like, you want to separate yourself a little bit, do a Sunday afternoon show, and that's what we'll be doing with BTC 11.
I think I've fought on Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I've never done a Sunday. So.
I mean, I guess, if you're a fighter that's, signed, we don't know yet, but does that affect you? Like, the day of the week, does it really affect you?
Nah, man. I mean, it wouldn't really. It just, I guess, like, depending on how the guys do it. Like, I know a lot of guys spar on Saturdays, so they kind of hope that their fights are on a Saturdays, because it kind of just, they're used to, their body's used to doing that on that day. So in that sense, it might. And Sunday, a lot of people, it's a recovery day. So that, in that sense, it might throw a little bit in there, but overall, man, no, it just any day of the week. And once you know what day you're fighting on, you can kind of adjust to that as well.
Right.
Right. So,
well, it's going to be exciting to get back out there and call some fights with, and like I said, in a great fight city and with fans, because you definitely, as fun as BTC 10 in Vancouver was, you miss the energy that the fans bring a card, and
absolutely.
They're going to be there in full force. In Edmonton, and then hopefully by the end of this year, we can have Ontario get on the same boat as the rest of Canada.
Yeah, I don't have to wear this goddamn stupid masks everywhere we go. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe you can move to Alberta starting July 1st, Josh. Those don't exist anymore.
Dude, I mean, I've talked about it. You know what I mean? If it was just me and the wife, we would not be in Ontario right now, 100% guaranteed right now. Especially if she's working online. So, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not that easy. You can't just pack up and bounce. But yeah, I'm hoping they follow suit and smarten up and look at what Alberta's doing. And yeah, because it's far too. Should have been done a long time ago, in my opinion.
I think we're getting to the point where hopefully they cross your fingers in this province, open up, and everything can get back to normal, much like Western Canada and out east, I heard as well, is in the same boat where they're opening up and back to normal for pretty much 50 to 60% of the country, except Quebec and Ontario right now.
And Quebec is ahead of us too.
Yes.
They're putting on shows. I've just seen that MFL is putting on a show in July.
Yep.
As well. So
return of amateur. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have a few of the guys on at that one, but yeah, everybody's ahead of Ontario in this joke of a province.
Unfortunately, the most populated one with with everything. That's
like another reason why I gotta leave. There's too many.
There are too many people in this province. Yes, for sure. Well, Josh, always fun chatting it up with you. Plug your Instagram where we can see the great memes you post to your IG stories.
At Gentleman J Hill, as always, my man.
All right, Josh. Well, have a good rest of your week, and we'll be back same bat time, same bat channel, breaking down all the happenings in mixed martial arts. And until then, peace out, everyone.